a style account in the video today, the big one, and I make a postscript with the real-time sound crimes of impeachment and robbery, adulteration. The beginning do not understand. Now I listen a second time. It's enter someone on the building and the sound seems leveling again to the normal level. It's impossible. It's a distraction. I just said concerning these details that I have spent my free time of slavery under these conditions of torture on the Ucrânia, presence, Cravinho e Marcelo, because, first of all, some days ago was the reentrance of this very strange line on this crime of robber of assassins, suggesting abuse and fouls on mouth from a lady from Na. It was on the beginning of this crime in 2007, in the first commission of the parliament. And I suppose perhaps is one of the heads responsible for all the processual apparently crimes, because they know very well what I was trying to say to them, or ask how this is possible, what is happening here in Portugal now. And there's no constitutional rights anymore respect. This is 2007, ladies and sirs. Well, this fucker still goes on after no, how many years saying there is no exceptions of law in this country as president. I'm speaking about the Nazi Cavaco Silva. Because she was there and she portrayed, including a photo on the newspaper published there with the two reddish rays. I also remember yesterday or today in videos the appearance of the ring, the Saturn shuttles, Fugtoy rings between the states. Because this came white, as I remember, the machine to open the underground tunnels of railway, and then when they finally, 6 or 10 years after what is estimated which crimes against the public money, first of all, no one answers. They have put it, the urbanistic paysage details on the river, and they put this ring, like this, in reddish. 3 months after, they destroy all this work, a lot of money also, threw away to these guys. But this has the significant fact on the timeline of this crime post 9/11 and here in this, but to introduce or associate the value of red rings or circles with the concept that was coined from 2007, namely by this lady, at that time parliamentary, Isabel Moreira, the red lines. And first of all, it's a defined conjunct of red lines. She has, like in a photo, like catching a beast or a bull, invisible one on the corridor of the parliament, where by both sides, on the rodapés or whatever, is figured 2 red lines, or by the tissue or alcatif or tapiz on the soil. I say, what is this now? What this beast is coming to catch her or to catch the Nazi Portuguese parliament that do not respect any constitutional chart? No answers. But this is the introduction of this theme. But this theme was already on the table concerning bombs in London 2007, because it's the same time in the underground. Because the carriages in London of underground are reddish. And the first definition of this nebulosa that travels through here concerning red lines was concerning the killings on London Underground and bus. 7/7/2007, if I remember well the year. With always very strange, never answer facts on the crime of robber of my son. As I gave the account, this part of my obsessions, even delivered to courier with all these details written. Then after some years, the red lines becomes the red encircles by this abuse of different powers and money and whatever on the ring of the super escavadora, that is a team of the elections of Pimp Guterres here, of the year of his election as Prime Minister. By this that I gave the account. 3 months. Then this, after years, this agglutinate other values and red lines and circles and red lines become a nebulosa concerning all the possibilities of tragedies in countries that have these colors, can I say, in political, ideological, or at least on the past. Because this start to agglutinate many other tragedies. Just to remember these. And I return to this point on the fact by this reintroduction of this suggestion of abuse built here on the government of Pedro by San Francisco, with all the relation values that I have against human rights. And I was trying to complete this question on Ukraine, the house, because today they have put already, this afternoon when I went out, they have put already a display that I just gave also the count, briefly. Why to lose my time on this entanglement of shaders, that you put always the circles at my steps to disguise criminal interest. This house on the corner that now is painting and is visible on the anterior video where I show the parcours with all the mumbo jumbos that are going all around, Nev, tapes, bears, companies, banks, bankruptcy of bears, investments in Brazil, PT, and so on. Among other schools, Orange Burn, connections with Aveiro faculty and the Coimbra faculty, and so on. Next day of these two main images that appears during this official travel of Marcelo Cravinho, I was descending the street and there was a fire during the night, and all these houses, the sailing, and not only the sailing, there were people living there. Now, as I say, they suppose I sell the house recently to someone that is repairing, and we see just the woods of the sail, and they have a kind of some tissue isolant inside that was wrapped some parts around the trays of the sailing, the sport of the sailing in wood. This was equivalent to the details of the camouflage, whatever, with the trees or whatever branches, over Cravinho head with the bag of documents as a protection element. And the next day there was a fire, or during the night, after seeing this, someone has burned this house. And they have this particular signature, as I gave the account to tell it next day when I see it. Because it's free. Now this the neighborhood of Portugal is Ukraine, and they burn a house here on the corner of Rua do Costa with this name of another fucking Nazi. Surplus of correction important concerning this house. At a certain point, the peace lady drives there, living there. They have a kind of SUV, hybrid SUV, and at the same time this happens, someone has disposal a conjunct of advertisings online that I have analyzed. I have created a blog with this analysis illustrated with values that fits on 9/11 2001. The Hulk, perfumes, the greens, groups, and so on. A lot, 12, Penelope, Agent Provocateur, other versions for other countries of Agent Provocateur, etc. I've made a blood of this because someone has put this not so far away, which means large time after 9/11. And I said, this is strange because it apparently at first glance seems that we can see here and here in this spot, this narrative, some values concordant with 9/11. And this lady, one of the spots was a SUV hybrid, whatever, and this lady had one SIM. This caught my attention at the time, at the moment that she turns to live here. I don't know who she was. I see sometimes on the passage when I go down descending to that. But there's even values concerning 9/11 by this association that can be done on purpose to fuck someone, even her, I don't know. It is large years also and after the between this presence of these two fuckers, Nazis on Ukraine, and all these facts that I gave the account, including the last one, the image of both Marcelo and Antonio Costa looking like reading some news on the phone, saying we are ready to deliver Cravinho to the police without any more specification, which means I don't know if this is a mise-en-scène, this is a consequence of something that happens in Ukraine, or Ukraine is a cover of another thing. But one thing is sure, they have already an agreement as Prime Minister and President to deliver Cravinho for something that we don't even know, or at least I don't know. This says all is a clear proof of the agreement between the both principal political gangster forces here, Nazi behaviors on this country, on this crime, on this timeline, and with this context of this very, very strange from the beginning war on Ukraine, namely by what Guterres has acted in the first days there, apparently, if you remember well, because I have to care to analyze this and say, what is this? Now, and all the facts, the constructions by what we can detect of similarities and other forms with some values, including narratives like the coordinates and so on, and TPI and so on, and Japan by the plane of Star Wars and so on. I will not lose my time under these conditions. I meant, though, immediately or reopening of my water here. I'm not in Sudan. I'm not a Sudanese. This is part of the integrant torture that is going on, aiming homicide to protect international crimes, namely, in my point of view, we'd like probably the question of Japan, because it's in the table for these last months once again, and even tsunami asset 2005. At least, and I want the full respect of my constitutional chart, I want my true identity card here, on my box of letters, not entering my bag and changing on my wallet as they have changed to forgery this one, which seems a real one, but is forgery. As I have proven, include on the blade that I'm entertaining myself and your dead of all. These demands addressed to TPI, namely, and all the courts, without any answer as usual. And I want my driver's license and I want my assurance robber. This is also exposed by my side in public domain because this is a company that runs on one of the political centers of this fucking Nazi Europe. And I still do not have answers. I have follow-ups on the mumbo-jumbo daily basis, second psychodrama, bad quality, again, that I have commented in the first take of the postscript that disappeared immediately on the air when I remark that they have already changed the sound and so on, and low resolution by the questions of the clips, I suppose, concerning Japan, that are in the end, because they know they are always making these crimes of illegal spying on phones, computers, whatever it is. The life of people who are crimes against the constitutional chart and many other laws. I want these people's arrests. There's a new mumbo-jumbo yesterday with the re-entrance of Ursula, Zelensky, and Antonio Costa. It's impossible, ladies and gentlemen. You play shadows to disguise crimes and political compromise to exchange responsibilities. This is a clear example. This question of PS and PSD on the Ukraine or whatever episode of hell that has no sense by itself. Of course, then it must have others. Perhaps you can start to explain this on a court, fucker. Just recall their facts build on this shadowy attack on everyday here. Nazi shadow plays, namely in Largo do Rio was at my passage, synchronized, as I gave the count, that speaks about disappeared plates on the hair, which means fall of planes. And even the things arrived to a point of a lady that was parking a car, coming out in the news house in front of in the middle where are the park, but the houses, new houses, they are in front of the lateral entrance of Manet, with a shirt when I was passing by taxi, and synchronized at all the levels at second. These are the war of these fuckers. This is not Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bona, Largo do Rio. We have a shirt at a certain point that says, me and my psychiatric. Put dot, nothing more. When they were prepared before displays with the sense reading concerning fall of some plants. This must be of the knowledge of Manet, first of all, if not organized by them, and for the knowledge of Isabel Moreira, I'm sure, almost. And they have these values, which means when this mumbo-jumbo on the war of Ukraine, Cravinhas trincheiras, como eu lhe chamei, with this fucking president, illusionist and leader of illusionists all around, have displayed these. I don't know what they have changed between the PS and the Social Democrats here in this episode, but there are these facts that no one ever has before. Facts, the first facts that came on the table concerning Cravinho Jr. was on Timor-Leste, the cyborg definition figure. Because this is a line of traffic of guns and monies, also connects caixas de depósitos, apparently by the fact I present the livre register to the public attorney never answer, either the usual, after some time they take the documents from here, the invoice company registers and so on. Because it appears in you speaking about this contest concerning Timor-Leste, it's in the same region. And they have also built this mask after some years concerning the consulado of New Zealand that do not exist here, I suppose. Then Cravinho is on the official trip on Timor-Leste. This is a very old line that comes from the 90s, or the 90s, the question of the boat, the massacre of in the church and the cemetery and so on. A very strange story. I detailed all these because they have the care to make cross this story and facts with me indirectly, my company, as you know, by Agro, Hui, whatever, the Agro group or whatever. And then you was on a parade and you were having kind of clashes like this with Miro Black and so on. This is doing the image of a cyborg. This, I suppose, is the first value. And then before this, at the time of the government of this pimp that you have promoted to make this destruction of the world on pimp terrorists, there are also some reference to Cravinho father that was at a certain time minister in the terms of the platform of the audiovisual and the questions of the tax of the private copy and so on. It's a very important question and subterranean in certain contents, as I have the care again to state these, underline these, remember some key facts. This is a very, very, as always, this is the way that gangsters do politics. These are not politics, these are games of everything and nothing, and wars even. Because in this mise-en-scène on the official residence, there are aspects concerning Middle Orient, for instance. On Cravinho Jr. at that time for me was correlated with the idea of the exterminator, because exterminator is a conjunct of facts from 93 and Popov musical theory, the definition of musical theory. I suppose he was representing an exterminator on this time 93, but 93 is also a term, or has become a term of 9/11. They never speak clear from the beginning to the end. They just play this kind of channel where we can read this if we have historical and contextual information that allows us to give some context and interpretations possible sense. But this is what we victims are confronted on crimes of slavery, spoliation, and exterminium. It not compete to us to analyze and arrive to conclusions. This must be done by what absence axis here on the temple of man, which is the justice and law. That crossed me from our groups to see this, I suppose, I don't know. And it's come from universities of Coimbra, if I remember well, we much now. Before even large years of Billy Martin. And this trip to Lusitania Express, I suppose, was the name of this boat that we still have from colonialism time. It's a very strange story. I said, you are all crazy doing this. And then TPI a journalist, apparently from, I don't know, Netherlands or whatever, after the massacre or before, it appears a journalist in my company with the footage that he have taken of this massacre. It was puzzling already for me, but why we are not producing news programs? Why he comes with this footage of the massacre of Santa Cruz? Well, this is strange from the beginning. Nevertheless, we put this on the program. It seems real, the footage for me, and I put this on one of the programs that we have on a daily basis at that time. Well, and I returned to my house on this conference of Amiamuf here on Gulbenkian that links all these aspects and large-scale tragedies, wars like Syria, and even now the death of this Italian lady. Gulbenkian rendezvous conference some days. Ribeiro Teles, the architect, that was also a politician sometimes, either MPT, that have asked me through a colleague of my field, Paul Trencoso, the production of his campaign. And I changed, I decided I want half a minute or minute and a half to speak about all the visuals. Okay, I mount whatever you need to mount or whatever. We put it only technical mediums. And we make this deal. I receive a letter from him, thank you, name MPT, which is also after a label that becomes a political label in Brazil. Strange this may be. And we have done this remodelation of the gardens of Gulbenkian, which are a very clean garden design for the salvage integration of the garden on the cities. Nothing against. They have put two red large circles in steel, like the ones that after they spread some parts on the city around the trees. The difference is they are large, like Saturn, for instance, rings of a Fukushima rocket, a launch rocket, but they are water. They have water. There are mirrors of water of these 8, large for 10 to 20 meters. I don't remember now. One in both sides of the corners, 2 corners of the square of Gulbenkian. Then it start appears these kind of circles here around some trees, which do not have water, just the grass or the earth, whatever. Not even sure if at that time of this remodelation, the man Rui Vilar, that was administrator on the Caixa de Depósitos before the time of the robber of the credit card concept, that is quoted by the going on, as always. It's the country of going on, crimes without justice by law. On banks that are not only banks here, this is a transfer problem, one of the nuclear problems all around the world on the level of extremism that humankind has entered. Nevertheless, Rui Vilar has also been administrator of Gulbenkian. I do not know even if it's the time or not of him as administrator of Gulbenkian, perhaps it is or not, when Ribeiro Teles architect has done this remodelation. Nevertheless, this question, because this story about the guns, traffic of guns, has no logical sense in the one stricto sense that was also reflect on these extracts that someone has disposal of the tiger of Ziwi which is the hidden harm. It's not hidden harm, it's the silver harm. It's the real name here. Brastprat was the factory that we have here before the revolution in the colonial time, where we made weapons, G3s, mitraillettes, and things like that. And is my first encounter with Durão and so on. Durão, I gave all these accounts. But this factory was closed for many years. Then this traffic was an intermediate traffic or an intermediate payment traffic of these machines, guns, or whatever, to Middle Printer, to Middle Orient, done by Caixa Geral de Depósitos. I don't know, because I have present the complaint, they have the care to erase all the complaint and even the proofs of good reception for the public attorney. This is the reality of corruption that runs in Portugal, that have this ability to curve law, even concerning questions that are more bigger in consequences of blood all around the world and for decades. Boys Army, they arrived this boy from the TF that was there shoot the massacre and so on. There are even a group of musicians that have quickly done in this day a musical team, and we have put it, I suppose, on Popov with a team, musical team that the boys have done by solidarity of heart, I suppose. This kind of expectable motivations. After the years, we start seeing all these and I start thinking, it seems so ingenuity. Yes, this expedition was a craziness. I say this to Rui, or with Rui for this, for I speak with him, you are completely crazy. And doing this, there was a problem of within London, of course. And I did not, they invite me to go, but I said no. But perhaps you can speak with someone that works in me. Foi Zé Pinheiro fazer uma reportagem dessa coisa. It seems a little bit the flotilla remake after in last year on the Middle Orient, whatever. It's a kind of same craziness. This do not solve nothing. Normally, this can arrange more problems even for child that goes on boats. So, by drive by good heart and intentions of solidarity. I'm not even sure that the image that I've commented in the first video from Sudan corresponds to Sudan. Can be by the traces, the color of people's, the way people's were, can be Sudan, but I'm not even sure about this. And I can't be. Because everything is changed to make all these confusions all around that second. These mumbo jumbos around me now have to do with the cover of this, but these have this fact here concerning the garment of bed of my little child. And this also entangled the part of the crime concerning my son that you never answer. This entangles the exception state declared under the table by all the gangsters here from the beginning of the war of my son after 9/11, I suppose. By the first commission on parliament, and I'm sure that someone on there must know about what is deal of payments of traffic of guns from where to whom. Then a part must be also cover of this. Then these come also with the spoliation of patrimony and so on in Brazil, and a bankruptcy, which is not the only bank here that has this situation on this crisis. You are destructing all the financial system and, of course, the banks. This is clear from the beginning. This was already on the table, even if not before already here in Portugal, before the 9/11 or around 9/11. This was already the reality. No one speaks about and call people's crazies who were looking things and was already understanding what was the intention and the reality that they mentioned, the level of damage, and they have the ability to think a little bit for the future and say, with all this technology, we are all fucked. It's not a question of Portugal today, it's all around. Of banks, which was the fall of banks, with PT business or factory of business. The axis is the same, Brazil and communications. These machines and reality of war and destruction of hope. I do not know if this is true or not. Must be accountable by the law. I'm not the law. No one answers me straight. I put the question, no one answers. But this must be rule on the court. Because this make fall this bank. But the contents of the fallen is communication, investments and communication, or counters into one. That's always the same question. It's the same mechanism. It's worse because it's easy. They change money at accounts, they change the accountability, and they change the account after for you don't need anymore even to change the accountability or transfer the registers or whatever it is, because it's already. Yeah, but now the reality is they do this on the House of People. They change here the receipts of machines where I take money when I have this car for 2 years. They change my extracts. They change on the bank, and they rob the invoices of the things that I spend. This is happening today already inside home of people. These months they have succeeded to steal the invoices to do not allow me to understand if I'm being robbed more having a credit card or having the money under the mattresses in the last century, for instance. Because first months I make the accounts, the accountability, and I start back. They have less ability to rob. I've been less robber, but they enter here by night and rob money. But I was less robber than when I was with this credit card. In these months, the last months, they remarked that I was controlling and calculating these. They start robbing the invoice. They put signs on the Ocean, Centro de Moreiras. They make a black down of electricity on the center to these guys. This story of the invoices that they have over here in the coffee. This goes until this point. The reality of this traffic and robbery goes until this point concerning the veils on the daylight, 3 o'clock or 4 or 11 o'clock on the morning or whatever. Ping! The lady comes from the cashier with a lot of invoices. I say, why is she showing me the invoices that I have there? A kind of constant of invoice of my monthly expense, saying to me, I read, she's saying that someone has already taken your invoices from home. I don't know the lady. I just take coffee there and discharge ladies every day almost. And I was taking a photo of publishing a blade. Pack! All the electricity on this part of the center. First goes there, then goes around, and then he starts telling me stories during a month. Follow. Oh, this is done by these guys, because they knew it that I was eventually publishing something very dangerous for them. 200 meters off the shop of mail, off the shop for the phone, as someone recent on this infinite ballet of shadows on Moreira. Oh, this go directly, my contest goes directly to the first stage. They forgot to tell, because it's Moreiras is a conjunct of towers, as we call it here, at our dimensions, our towers, and they forget to say what tower. But this go directly for the first. Well, there was someone passing on the corridor and saying this. I do not know if it's true or not. What the sense is. You are here each time that you try to connect to a public network or in a coffee or whatever, or network of a coffee. When you take coffee to put things online, these go directly to a certain office that is on the third tower. This is the reality, ladies and sirs, of chaos and distraction. For extermination of humankind is this one. This is still go on robbers at all the levels, including money, not only contents, right or recorder or whatever, or music or whatever, or movies. Is going to all the financial transactions and money, pocket money that people have on a daily basis, and there's no compensation. There's no point, final point on this. What will be the road, ladies and sirs? Exterminium. This one by a simple deduction based on the reality, the criminal reality. Before, some years ago, they still doing only this at bank and credit cards and so on. Now they do it at home of people. No one asks. It seems normal. And the mechanisms that start on network at this level, which is a fundamental level for countries and the life of everyone. Now the disease, the cause Nazi disease spread until this is passing on the home of people during night at sleeping. With interactive need to robber money, 20 euros or something in the kind. Girls are very troubling for life of boys, you know. Because indeed these two ladies that you have put again on scene on this masquerade or whatever of hell, Blanchett and Ziwi, two ladies that I have blind dates without having blind dates, you know, which is the same question. Yeah. Ziwi, I saw it, and I've taken 3 months to find some information that allows me to understand who was her on this movie. And Kate Blanchett, it appears afternoon that I take off and I go to a cinema, London, nearby London, East London, not London, aquilo, you know. And I enter in an empty room and I see a movie of the Second World War with her. I suppose was the first movie that I saw with her. And I did not know her existed in my family, so beautiful. It's a kind of blind date. I have the first one, a real one, with Teresa Carvalho. It was a concept that I always dismissed, the possibility of blind dates, you know. I was a long time suffering off my heart, and it appears Margarida Rebelo Pinto in the office, the end of the day, in winter, raining, and so on. I have a friend that perhaps you enjoy to know, and I make a rendezvous with her, but I suppose this is not blind date, it's all prepared. I suppose the appearance of Teresa Carvalho in my life was all prepared. To rob her son, if I have a son with her in blood. I do not even know these fuckers. Called many times, and not many times as Blanche, because there's a character from French comics, Adèle Blanc-Sèche, that I know. His name, I like his name, Blanche. Cœur de Neige. It's the same meta team, I suppose. And when I start to know her on the movie, it seems very. This movie touched me by the character, where she was a hooker. She broke the heart of a man. Did not, I suppose, even realize that she was a hooker when we fall in love with her or whatever. It was full of energy and playful. And she was, then I start seeing images, she was kindly, soft, romantic also by the dresses with flowers and spunk transparencies and so sweet, you know. It's very different from this image on this soap now on hysteria actings on these whatever shadows on waters or missing waters or whatever. I said to me, this is sometimes what life do to people, or perhaps. Energy of life. It's not the right expression in English. It must be a joy of life. Joy is French. Joy of life. Good energy, but someone that is happy to live, which is an important quality, I suppose. Times that the world goes crazy, I suppose, she reappears to my eyes on this Tolkien saga that I knew many decades before. I have read these books many times before the place of these movies, and she really appears at Cornwall, which is a very interesting character. It was nice to see her dying. But there was already this craziness all around. I suppose someone perhaps have choose her to, because they expect she can touch my heart, or I will be touched, because I was already in love with Tolkien universe, can I say? And kind of brotherhood that was trying to be formed, even if not formal form, this statement, some that will be think that as a correspondence of what Tolkien has portrayed, which is a fiction, but it's a fiction that has a clear transcription concerning turbulent Nazi times and so on. Because perhaps these people knew it already that what is coming on the air. I don't know this part of her reappearance on my life, I suppose, was in the saga of Tolkien. That I say, when I read these books, I said, this will be a lovely movie. Perhaps someone else here and have done it after.